On a highway near Kiev, a Russian tank erupts into flame. The turret detaches from the hull and flies 50 meters into the air. It lands intact in a field. The tank itself remains a burning wreck. This image has been photographed thousands of times across Ukraine over the past 2 years. Every explosion, every turret toss tells the same story. Russian tanks are dying in a specific, catastrophic way. The M1A2 Abrams and the T-90M Proryv were built to answer fundamentally different questions about what happens when a tank gets hit. Ukraine has provided the answer. Which tank was designed so the crew lives? Which was designed so the vehicle survives? And what does that difference mean when the shooting starts? Russia has lost over 3,000 tanks of all types confirmed destroyed in Ukraine as of mid-2024. That number is tracked by open-source analysts at Oryx and verified against photographs. Actual losses are likely higher, 3,000 tanks, in 2 years. To put that in perspective, NATO's entire inventory of main battle tanks is approximately 5,500 vehicles across all member nations. Russia has lost more than half of NATO's entire tank fleet in a single war, on camera, documented, verified. Among those losses, a pattern emerged that became inescapable once you saw it. Russian tanks would be hit, the ammunition would ignite inside the turret, and then something unique would happen. The entire turret would detach from the hull and fly through the air. Sometimes 20 meters, sometimes 50 meters. The crews inside, none of them survived those events. That phenomenon is not a glitch. It's not a one-off mechanical failure. It's the inevitable consequence of a design decision made by Russian tank engineers in the 1970s. And that decision, repeated across thousands of Soviet and Russian tanks since then, has become one of the most consequential architectural choices in modern military history. The M1A2 Abrams was designed around a completely different philosophy. When the Abrams was hit and its ammunition was struck, the designers built the tank so the crew would survive. Not the vehicle, the crew. This is the fundamental calculation that separates these two tanks. And Ukraine has provided us with the most comprehensive dataset since World War II to understand what that difference actually means. The M1A2 SEP V3 weighs 73.6 tons. It is the heaviest NATO main battle tank. Inside, it sits a Honeywell AGT 1500 gas turbine engine producing 1,500 horsepower. That engine delivers instant, unlimited torque in any temperature, which is why Abrams tanks can start and move in the most brutal cold without preheating. It's why Abrams tanks in Alaska never had starting problems. It's why in 1991 during Desert Storm, Abrams tanks were advancing through sandstorms and night at speeds that seemed impossible. But weight matters. Power-to-weight ratio on an Abrams is roughly 20.4 horsepower per ton. That's actually lower than it sounds. A fast sports car has 5 to 8 horsepower per ton. The Abrams at 20 is respectable, but not exceptional. The reason the Abrams feels fast is that the torque comes instantly, and the driver sits low in the hull with visibility of the ground around the vehicle, creating the psychological impression of speed that's not entirely matched by the speedometer. The gun is the M256 120mm smoothbore, licensed from Rheinmetall. The ammunition is the M829A4A PFSDS. Armor-piercing, fin-stabilized, discarding sabot with a depleted uranium long-rod penetrator. This is, objectively, the best tank ammunition in the world. It has demonstrated the ability to defeat every known tank armor at operational ranges. It is not exaggeration to say that if the M829A4 cannot penetrate your tank, no conventionally gunned tank can penetrate your tank. The armor is Chobham Burlington composite, layered structure, with depleted uranium mesh integrated into the composite. Depleted uranium is not radioactive at normal handling levels. It is used in armor because of its density and its self-sharpening properties. When a round hits it, uranium fractures along crystal planes in ways that increase penetration resistance. The exact specifications are classified, but what is public is this. The Abrams is the most heavily protected main battle tank in service anywhere. The thermal sight is a third-generation forward-looking infrared imager. This is the newest generation available. The commander's independent thermal viewer, the CITV, allows the commander to search for targets while the gunner is already engaged on a different target. This is the hunter-killer capability. It is militarily significant. Both sides understand this. Russia's best tanks have hunter-killer, but not the resolution. And now, the Abrams is being equipped with the Israeli-developed Trophy Active Protection System, Hard Kill, meaning a round comes at you. The APS detects it, fires an interceptor, and destroys the incoming projectile before it hits your tank. The Israeli Defense Forces have been using Trophy for years. The US Army is now fielding it on M1A2 SEP variants. Hard kill APS is categorically superior to soft kill systems like laser warning receivers. The crew is 4: commander, gunner, loader, driver. 4 sets of eyes, 4 people to handle emergencies, 4 voices coordinating the vehicle's defense and survival. But the single most important design feature is this: the ammunition storage. In the Abrams, the main gun rounds are stored in an isolated bustle rack at the rear of the turret, separated from the crew compartment by an armored blast door. If an incoming round penetrates to that bustle, it will ignite the ammunition. When it ignites, the Abrams designers installed blowout panels in the roof of the bustle. Those panels are held in place by weak fasteners. When pressure rises inside the bustle from a cook-off, those panels blow outward, directing the explosion upward and away from the crew. The result: the crew survives. The turret may be damaged, the ammunition is gone, the vehicle may be immobilized, but the crew walks away. And a crew that walks away can fight again, repair, or call for extraction. A crew that doesn't walk away doesn't. The T-90M Proryv 3 weighs 46 to 50 tons, significantly lighter than the Abrams. The engine is a V92S2F diesel turbocharged, producing 1,130 horsepower. Power to weight is better than the Abrams, around 23 to 24 horsepower per ton, meaning it's more agile on the move. The speed is 65 kilometers per hour on road, only slightly below the Abrams. The gun is the 2 A46M5 125mm smoothbore, a Soviet design improved by Russian engineers over decades. The ammunition is the 3 BM60 Svinets, 2 APFSDS, with a tungsten penetrator. Tungsten is not as good as depleted uranium for penetration, but it is still a capable round. The T-90M can also fire the 9M119M1 INVAR-M, a gun-launched anti-tank guided missile that travels to 5,000 meters, a genuine range advantage over the Abrams. The armor is a steel hull with composite turret plus relict explosive reactive armor. Relict is more advanced than the older Contact series, but it is still reactive armor. It works by detonating shaped charges that disrupt incoming warheads. It is less effective against modern armor-piercing rounds than against older tandem charge ATGMs. The active protection system is the Shtora one, soft kill only. Laser warning receivers, infrared emitters to confuse laser-guided missiles, and smoke grenade dispensers. It does not destroy incoming rounds. It confuses them. It warns the crew. It is not in the same category as Trophy. The crew is 3: commander, gunner, driver. The loader is replaced by an autoloader. And here is where the design philosophy diverges completely. The ammunition is stored in a carousel autoloader. 22 rounds are loaded into a revolving chamber that runs under and around the crew compartment. It is concentric with the turret basket. It is mechanically sophisticated. It allows the T-90 to fire on a very rapid cycle. When a T-90M is hit by a modern anti-tank warhead, a Javelin top attack missile, a NLAW, modern APFSDS, even artillery, and that warhead penetrates to the ammunition carousel, something specific happens. The propellant charges and warheads in the carousel ignite simultaneously. The pressure rises inside the turret in milliseconds. There are no blowout panels. The pressure has nowhere to go except out through the weakest point in the structure, which is the joint between the turret and the hull. That joint is the highest point on the tank. That's where the force expels itself. The turret, weighing several tons, is literally ejected off the hull like a cork from a champagne bottle. In hundreds of documented images from Ukraine, you can see this. Russian tanks with their turrets 20, 30, 50 meters away from the hull. The turrets are often still oriented upright, sitting in a field like an alien war machine. The crews inside those turrets? 0 survivors from turret toss events. It is physically impossible to survive when the structure you are sitting inside separates from the hull and is ejected by an explosion. The T-90M is a good tank. The Proryv upgrades represent genuine improvements over earlier Russian tanks. The thermal imaging is better. The gun-launched ATGM is effective. The 125mm gun is capable. But it is built on an architectural foundation that has a fatal flaw when fighting modern anti-tank weapons. This is the defining difference between these tanks. One was designed to keep the crew alive. The other was designed in an era when the alternative, nuclear war in Europe, made crew survivability seem almost academic. Firepower. Both are capable. The T-90M's gun-launched ATGM has a range advantage. The Abrams has superior ammunition, depleted uranium versus tungsten, and superior fire control. Slight edge to the Abrams in sustained combat, but not decisive. Survivability architecture. The Abrams wins decisively. The blowout panel system means crews survive ammunition cook-offs. The carousel means they don't. This is not opinion. This is observed, photographed, verified in thousands of incidents. Protection level. The Abrams DU composite armor is superior to T-90M Relict ERA. Relict is good, but composite DU is better. The Abrams can defeat the T-90M's ammunition at ranges where the T-90M might not defeat the Abrams. Active protection systems. Trophy hard kill is categorically superior to Shtora 1 soft kill. Trophy has intercepted live missiles in Israeli service. It is operational. Shtora warns you and obscures the shot. Trophy stops the shot. Not comparable. Mobility. The T-90M has a slight edge on road speed due to lighter weight and better horsepower per ton ratio. The Abrams wins on cold starting and sustained cross-country reliability. The gas turbine delivers power instantly but consumes fuel at a higher rate. The diesel is more efficient but takes moment to spool. Crew capability. The Abrams 4-man crew is better. 4 sets of eyes instead of 3. One person whose sole job is loading and ammunition management. In a firefight, in damage control, in navigation. More people handling more jobs means faster, more coordinated responses. Combat-proven concepts. The Abrams destroyed Iraqi tanks at 3,000 plus meters in Desert Storm before the Iraqi crews even knew they were being fired at. The gun, the ammunition, the fire control, the armor, all proven in the highest stakes combat. The T-90M has never been in a peer-level tank-on-tank battle. It has experienced combat in Ukraine against older Ukrainian tanks, Javelin ATGMs, and artillery. Different context, less data. The M1A2 PV3 wins decisively. The survivability architecture is unbridgeable. No amount of improved gun, better thermal imager, or upgraded armor changes the fundamental fact. When an Abrams is hit and its ammunition cooks off, the crew lives. When a T-90M is hit the same way, the crew dies. And Ukraine has provided 3,000 plus data points proving this equation. The Abrams is the most capable main battle tank in the world. It was designed by engineers who understood one hard truth. In combat, a tank that keeps its crew alive will always outfight a tank that doesn't. Because the crew is the irreplaceable asset. Training a tank crew to peak performance takes years. Replacing a destroyed tank takes months. Losing your crew teaches Russia nothing except how many tanks it can lose. The M1A2 PV3 represents the pinnacle of a design philosophy that prioritized crew survival above all other considerations. The T-90M represents the limitations of trying to upgrade an architecture never designed with that philosophy in mind. Abrams wins. Next question.